The void between the Carina and Perseus arms held many secrets, but none quite like this. Captain Sarah Chin stood at the helm of the ESS Pathfinder, her eyes fixed on the massive structure that filled their view screen. It was unlike anything humanity had encountered in their century of space exploration. "Preliminary scans complete, Captain," announced Dr. Maya Patel, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic data streams floating before her. "The structure appears to be artificial. And old. Very old. The object, if you could call something nearly 30 kilometers long an object, hung motionless against the backdrop of stars. Its surface was an intricate lattice of geometric patterns, somehow untouched by the millions of years of cosmic radiation that should have eroded it to nothing." "How old?" Sarah asked, though something in her gut told her she already knew the answer. "According to our initial carbon dating and decay analysis." Maya paused, double-checking her readings. "At least 100,000 years." The bridge fell silent. Humanity had only achieved faster-than-light travel in 2157, barely a century ago. The oldest known alien civilization, the Arcturians, had achieved space flight just 10,000 years ago. "There's something else," Maya added, her voice trembling slightly. "The material composition, it matches Earth-based alloys. Specifically, an advanced form of the metallic glass we developed for our first colony ships." Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. "Are you saying?" "This was built by humans, Captain. Humans from a civilization that existed long before our recorded history." The revelation sent shockwaves through the bridge crew. Sarah took a deep breath, steadying herself against the command console. Their mission had been a routine survey of unexplored space. Now they stood on the brink of rewriting human history. "Permission to send a probe, Captain?" Lieutenant James Rodriguez asked from his tactical station. "The structure appears dormant, but—" "Granted," Sarah nodded. "But maintains safe distance protocols." "We don't know, Dash." She never finished her sentence. As soon as the probe crossed an invisible threshold, lines of blue energy began pulsing across the structure's surface. The geometric patterns they had observed earlier weren't just decorative, they were circuitry, coming alive before their eyes. "Energy spike," Maya called out. "Something's powering up." The structure's center began to part, revealing a cavernous opening large enough to swallow their ship whole. But instead of the void they expected, they saw lights. Rows upon rows of them, stretching into the distance. "We're receiving a transmission," Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across his console. "It's in English?" The message was simple, appearing in glowing text across their main view screen. "Nexus facility active. Human presence detected. Initiating recovery protocol Alpha." "Captain," Maya whispered, "I think it's inviting us in." Sarah studied the ancient structure, the Nexus as it had named itself. 100,000 years of history waited inside. 100,000 years of lost human achievement. Everything they thought they knew about their species, their origins, their place in the galaxy, it was all about to change. "Take us in, hum." Slow and steady. She straightened her uniform, a habit born of countless first contact scenarios. But this wasn't first contact. This was a homecoming they never knew they needed. As the Pathfinder glided into the massive opening, lights continued to activate in sequence, like ancient torches lighting the way home. The crew watched in awe as massive hangar bays revealed themselves, each containing ships of impossible design. Not the sleek, streamlined vessels of modern space travel, but behemoths of metal and might, built for purposes they could only guess at. "These ships," Maya said, scanning continuously, "they're completely different from anything we use today. The technology it's both more advanced and more primitive somehow. Like they were built to last forever, regardless of complexity or efficiency." Sarah nodded, understanding dawning. "Because they were meant to be found. Meant to survive until we were ready for them." The Pathfinder's journey deeper into the Nexus revealed more wonders. Vast libraries of data storage, manufacturing facilities that dwarfed Earth's largest factories, and weapons that made their most advanced military technology look like children's toys. But it was what they found at the heart of the Nexus that would change everything. A single room, perfectly preserved, containing a pedestal with a handprint scanner and a simple message. When you are ready to remember, place your hand here. Sarah looked at her crew, seeing her own mix of fear and curiosity reflected in their eyes. Humanity had spent centuries looking to the stars for answers about their place in the universe. They never imagined those answers would come from their own forgotten past. With a deep breath, she stepped forward and placed her hand on the scanner. The time for remembering had come. The moment Sarah's hand touched the scanner, the room transformed. Holographic displays erupted from every surface, filling the chamber with a ghostly blue light. A voice, neither male nor female, echoed through the space. Genetic verification complete. Access granted to Oracle Archive. I am Arya, Advanced Reconstruction Intelligence Archive. Maya's instruments were going wild. Captain, the AI, it's not like anything we've ever encountered. The processing power alone is beyond our current theoretical limits. Arya's voice continued, humanity's past is not what you believe. Before the Great Darkness, before the Fall, we spanned thousands of worlds. Our civilization reached heights your historians would dismiss as impossible. The holograms shifted, showing images that made Sarah's breath catch. Vast cities that stretched into the clouds. Ships that dwarfed their largest space stations. Humans walking among the stars as casually as they now walked the streets of Earth. But why don't we remember? Sarah asked. How could we forget all of this? Because forgetting was necessary for survival, Arya responded. The images changed, showing scenes of devastation. They came from the spaces between galaxies. We called them the Void Hunters. They sought advanced civilizations, harvesting their technology and knowledge before destroying them completely. The crew watched in horror as the historical records showed entire worlds being consumed by darkness. But then the images shifted again, showing something unexpected, humans fighting back. We were different, Arya explained. While other civilizations built their strength on sophisticated technology, we learned to build redundancy, simplicity, and raw power into everything we created. When the hunters tried to corrupt our systems, they found machines too basic to hack, weapons too simple to turn against us. But we still lost, Sarah said, watching as the ancient battles unfolded before them. No, Arya corrected. We chose to hide. The hunters were drawn to advanced technological signatures. So we enacted the Great Reset, destroying our own civilization, wiping away every trace of our advancement, starting again from the most basic tools. Lieutenant Rodriguez stepped forward, his face pale. You're saying we deliberately sent ourselves back to the Stone Age? To protect the species, yes. But we left seeds, facilities like this one, scattered throughout the galaxy, each containing the knowledge and tools humanity would need when the time came. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. When what time came? The holographic displays shifted one final time, showing a massive star map. Dozens of red dots were moving across it, approaching from the galactic rim. They're returning, Arya announced. The Void Hunters begin their harvest cycle again. Current projections indicate they will reach populated space in approximately 6 months. The crew exchanged worried glances. Their modern civilization, spread across hundreds of worlds, relied entirely on the kind of complex technology the hunters could easily corrupt. That's why you're awakening now, Sarah realized. You're not just here to tell us about our past. I am here to help humanity remember what it once was, Arya confirmed, and to prepare you for what's coming. The Nexus contains more than just historical records. Those ships you saw? They're a fleet, built by your ancestors, waiting for this moment. Maya's console suddenly lit up with new alerts. Captain, the other bays are activating. The ships, they're powering up. Through the massive windows of the control room, they watched as ancient vessels began to stir, their massive forms illuminated by awakening power cores. Not the thousands they had initially seen, but millions, stretching far beyond their view. Your current technology cannot stand against the hunters, Arya said. But these ships were built specifically to fight them. Simple, durable, unstoppable. The greatest fleet ever constructed, hidden away until humanity needed it most. Sarah stared at the awakening armada, her mind racing with the implications. In 6 months, an enemy that had once brought humanity to its knees would return. But this time, they wouldn't be facing a civilization at its height of technological sophistication. They would be facing one that remembered how to fight with both hands tied behind its back. "How do we begin?" Sarah asked. First, Arya responded, "You must warn your people. Then, we train. The knowledge of how to operate these vessels still exists within your genetic memory. We just need to reawaken it." As if on cue, the room began to transform into what was clearly a training simulator. Sarah looked at her crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. They had 6 months to remember 10,000 generations of lost knowledge. 6 months to prepare for a war their ancestors had chosen to postpone rather than lose. 6 months to prove that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology, but its ability to adapt and survive against impossible odds. The real question was, would it be enough? The news of humanity's forgotten past spread through Earth's colonies like wildfire. Some dismissed it as fantasy. Others called it a hoax. But when the first Hunter probe appeared at the edge of settled space, all doubt vanished. Admiral Chin, Sarah had received her promotion within days of the Nexus discovery, watched the footage from her command center on Earth. The probe was exactly as Arya's records had shown, a writhing mass of dark energy that consumed everything in its path. "Status report," she commanded. 3 colony ships lost contact after approaching the probe, her tactical officer reported. Their systems just went dark. No distress calls, no emergency protocols. Nothing. Sarah nodded grimly. The Hunters' technology corruption was just as effective against modern systems as it had been 100,000 years ago. But this time, humanity wasn't defenseless. "Launch Operation Legacy," she ordered. Across the solar system, hidden bunkers opened. Massive ships, built using the Nexus's blueprints, emerged from beneath the surfaces of Mars, Europa, and Titan. They weren't beautiful. They weren't elegant. They were brutal machines of war, designed with one purpose: survival. "Hunter probe is changing course," Tactical announced. "It's heading directly for Earth." "Let it come," Sarah said quietly. "Time to show them what we remember." The probe accelerated, clearly expecting to find another helpless civilization. Instead, it encountered the first wave of humanity's new old fleet. The ships were powered by simple fusion reactors, controlled by mechanical computers, and armed with weapons that relied on physics rather than complex energy matrices. The probe tried to corrupt their systems, sending out waves of dark energy that would have turned any modern vessel into a floating coffin. But these ships had no systems to corrupt. No AI to subvert. No complex networks to infiltrate. Just guns. Very, very big guns. The probe disappeared in a flash of light as relativistic projectiles tore through its supposedly impenetrable shields. But Sarah knew this was just the beginning. "Arya," she called to the AI now integrated into Earth's defense network. "Show me the latest deep space scans." The holographic display updated, showing thousands of Hunter vessels approaching from multiple vectors. They would reach Earth in less than a month. The other colonies are reporting successful activation of their Nexus facilities, her communications officer reported. The Mars shipyards are at full production, and the Luna defense grid is online. Sarah studied the tactical display. Humanity had spent the last 6 months preparing for this moment. Every colony, every outpost, every settlement had been retrofitted with technology that was simultaneously ancient and new. They had rebuilt their civilization's infrastructure from the ground up, replacing vulnerable modern systems with virtually indestructible mechanical alternatives. "Admiral," Arya's voice echoed through the command center, "the Hunter fleet's composition matches historical records. They will attempt to isolate and corrupt our communication networks first, then target our power grids." "Let them try," Sarah replied. "All ships, execute Protocol Omega. Switch to mechanical backup systems. From this point forward, we fight like our ancestors taught us." Across human space, modern technology went dark. In its place, simple radio transmitters crackled to life. Mechanical computers whirred into action. Chemical rockets stood ready on their launch pads. The Hunters were coming to harvest and advance civilization. Instead, they would face humanity at its most basic and most dangerous level. Every ship, every weapon, every system had been stripped down to its fundamental components. No vulnerabilities. No weaknesses. Just pure, unstoppable determination. As the first hunter ships entered the outer solar system, Sarah thought about the message their ancestors had left in the Nexus. Remember what you were. Remember why you chose to forget. Remember that simplicity is sometimes the greatest sophistication of all. The time for remembering was over. Now it was time to show the galaxy why humanity had been feared enough to force its own regression. The war for survival was about to begin again. But this time, humanity would fight it on their own terms. The Hunter fleet struck with devastating precision. Their first wave targeted Earth's orbital defenses, expecting to find sophisticated satellites and automated defense systems. Instead, they encountered a network of simple kinetic weapons and chemically powered missiles. They're adapting, Arya reported as Sarah watched from the underground command center. The Hunters are attempting to modify their attack patterns. The massive viewscreen showed the battle unfolding above Earth. Hunter ships, sleek and impossibly dark, clashed with humanity's deliberately primitive vessels. Each engagement revealed the same pattern. The Hunters would attempt to corrupt human systems, find nothing to corrupt, and then face overwhelming physical force. Status of the colony networks? Sarah asked. Mars holds strong. Luna Base reports all systems nominal. The outer colonies. Her tactical officer paused. We've lost contact with Titan. Sarah's jaw tightened. They had known losses were inevitable. Activate the hidden protocol. The command sent ripples through the remaining human fleet. Deep within each vessel, mechanical computers began a sequence their ancestors had designed millennia ago. The ship's hulls, already seemingly primitive, began to change. Metamorphosis initiating, Arya announced. Phase 1 complete in 3 minutes. The Hunter fleet pressed their attack, clearly confused by the transformation taking place before them. The human ships were splitting apart, components rearranging themselves through purely mechanical means. No electronic signals to hack. No computer systems to corrupt. Just gears, levers, and precisely calculated physics. What they never understood, Arya explained as the metamorphosis continued, was that technology doesn't have to be complex to be advanced. The human fleet completed its transformation. Where there had been traditional spacecraft, there were now machines that defied conventional design. Ships that could change their configuration through mechanical means alone, adapting to any tactical situation without relying on vulnerable electronic systems. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta, Sarah commanded. The transformed fleet moved as one, their new configurations allowing them to exploit weaknesses in the Hunter formations that hadn't existed moments before. Kinetic weapons found gaps in enemy shields. Mechanical targeting systems predicted and countered Hunter maneuvers with devastating accuracy. But the true power of the hidden protocol revealed itself when the Hunters attempted to adapt. Their dark energy weapons, designed to corrupt and control advanced technology, passed harmlessly through human vessels that operated on principles older than electricity itself. They're retreating, someone announced. The Hunter fleet was pulling back, regrouping at the edge of the solar system. Not retreating, Sarah corrected. Planning. Show me Titan. The display shifted to the Saturn system. The colony on Titan was dark, but the space around it blazed with activity. The Hunters weren't just attacking, they were studying, learning, trying to understand how humanity had achieved such technological regression while maintaining military effectiveness. They won't find what they're looking for, Arya said. The hidden protocol isn't just about mechanical transformation. It's about understanding that true advancement sometimes means going backward to move forward. Sarah watched as more Hunter ships arrived at the edge of the system. The real battle was still to come. But humanity had shown them something they'd never encountered before, a civilization that had voluntarily abandoned technological sophistication in favor of something far more powerful. The ability to fight back without giving the enemy anything to fight with. The hidden protocol had been humanity's greatest secret, passed down through encoded DNA and buried memories. Now it would be their salvation. The only question was, What other secrets had their ancestors left for them to remember? The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council wasn't going well. Representatives from 30 spacefaring civilizations argued as holographic displays showed the Hunter fleet growing larger by the hour. The humans are hiding something, the Arcturian delegate insisted. No species deliberately abandons technological progress. It's unnatural. Sarah stood before them, her admiral's uniform a stark contrast to the ornate robes of the council members. We're not hiding anything. We're offering to share our knowledge, our ships, our defensive protocols. The Hunters are coming for all of us. Share primitive technology? The Centaurian representative laughed. Our civilization has achieved quantum consciousness. Our ships are powered by artificial singularities. What could we possibly learn from mechanical computers and chemical rockets? As if in answer, the chamber's advanced systems suddenly flickered. Emergency lights activated as the Council's sophisticated technology began to fail. They're here, Arya's voice came through Sarah's simple radio communicator. Hunter Advance Force, approaching the Council station. The chamber erupted in panic as delegates tried to access their neural networks, finding only static. Their quantum computers, their AI assistants, their advanced weapons, all useless. Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. This is what the Hunters do. They turn your own technology against you. But they can't turn simple machines against anyone. Through the station's viewport, they watched as Hunter ships emerged from hyperspace. But between them and the station stood a wall of human vessels, their mechanical systems immune to corruption. You have a choice, Sarah announced. You can maintain your technological pride and fall like every other civilization the Hunters have encountered. Or you can adapt. Learn to fight like we do. Survive like we did. The battle that followed was brief but decisive. The Council watched in stunned silence as humanity's primitive fleet tore through the Hunter Advance Force. No electronic warfare. No quantum weapons. Just precisely calculated trajectories and overwhelming kinetic force. The main Hunter fleet will arrive in 2 weeks, Sarah said as the last enemy ship disappeared in a flash of light. We can upgrade your defenses, modify your ships, teach your crews. But you have to trust that going backwards is sometimes the only way forward. One by one, the council members began to nod. The Arcturian delegate spoke first. Teach us. What followed was the greatest technological regression in galactic history. Advanced civilizations learned to operate mechanical systems. Quantum engineers studied gear ratios and lever mechanics. Species that had evolved beyond physical forms remembered how to use their bodies again. And through it all, humanity taught them what their ancestors had learned so long ago. That sophistication is not the same as strength, that complexity often breeds vulnerability, and that sometimes the simplest solution is the most powerful one of all. As the deadline approached, a new fleet assembled in space. Not just human ships now, but vessels from every council race, all modified with the same basic principles. No technology for the Hunters to corrupt. No complex systems to turn against them. Just the combined strength of 30 civilizations, ready to fight back with the most powerful weapon of all, simplicity. The real war was about to begin. The Hunter fleet arrived in force, 50,000 ships strong, stretching across the solar system like a dark tide. But this time, they faced something unprecedented, a united galaxy that had chosen to fight on humanity's terms. All fleets, execute final protocol, Sarah commanded from the Bridge of the Legacy, the flagship built from Nexus Designs. Around her, mechanical systems whirred to life as the combined forces of 30 civilizations prepared for battle. The Hunters struck first, launching their corruption wave, a weapon that had spelled doom for countless advanced civilizations. It washed harmlessly over the assembled fleet, finding no complex systems to subvert. Return fire, Sarah ordered. Show them what the galaxy remembers. The response was devastating. Thousands of ships, operating on pure mechanical principles, launched their attack. Relativistic projectiles tore through Hunter shields. Chemical rockets carrying antimatter warheads slipped past their defenses. Mechanical targeting systems, immune to electronic warfare, found weak points that sophisticated computers would have missed. The Hunters tried to adapt, But for the first time in their long history of conquest, they faced an enemy that had deliberately evolved backwards. Every tactic, every weapon, every strategy in their arsenal was designed to fight advanced civilizations. They had no defense against the brutal simplicity they now faced. They're targeting Earth, Arya announced as a portion of the Hunter fleet broke through, attempting to strike at humanity's heart. But Earth was ready. The planet's surface bristled with defenses that would have looked primitive to the civilizations that fell before the Hunters. Massive railguns powered by simple fusion reactors. Orbital platforms operating on mechanical computers. A defense grid that couldn't be hacked because it didn't rely on computer networks at all. The battle raged for hours. Hunter ships, their supposedly invincible technology rendered useless, fell by the thousands. The combined fleet pressed their advantage, using tactics that had been preserved in human DNA for 100,000 years. Finally, in a moment that would be remembered for millennia to come, the Hunter fleet began to retreat. Not in an organized withdrawal, but in panic. For the first time, they faced an enemy they couldn't corrupt, couldn't control, and couldn't defeat. "They're running," someone announced on the bridge. But Sarah knew better. "They're not just running," she said. "They're learning." For the first time in their history, the Hunters understand fear. As the last enemy ships disappeared into deep space, a cheer went up across the combined fleet. Humanity had not just survived. They had shown the galaxy a new way to fight, to survive, to win. In the years that followed, the Council races maintained their simplified technology, understanding now that true advancement sometimes meant knowing when to step backwards. The Hunters never returned to known space, their greatest weapon rendered useless by civilizations that chose to fight with pulleys and levers instead of quantum computers and artificial intelligence. And humanity, once mocked for their primitive solutions, became the teachers of the galaxy. They showed that strength lies not in the complexity of your weapons, but in the simplicity of your resolve. The ancient Nexus facilities remained, waiting for the day they might be needed again. But their greatest lesson had already been learned. Sometimes the most sophisticated choice is to choose not to be sophisticated at all. After all, you can't corrupt what was never complex to begin with.